everyone, welcome back to my channel. I actually want to talk about career a little bit more on my channel, or at least my path and my journey and how I got to where I am. But I first want to do a comparison between government accounting, my experience in it, and my experience in public accounting, but mostly federal side. I cannot speak for commercial. I recently rewatched my Why You Should Choose Government Accounting video. I do have a bit of a background in the local sector of government accounting, and since then I have moved on to public accounting. But again, like I said, I'm in federal. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how my experience in government accounting differs from my experience in federal auditing. Some things that I mentioned in my Why You Should Choose Government Accounting video may overlap with some of these things. Let's talk about a typical work week as far as hours go. So in state government, I generally always just worked a solid 40-hour work week. Now, in federal public accounting, it's generally 40 hours as well, but it's easy to go over on a daily or weekly basis. It can be maybe 40 to, I would say, a good 50 hours. Now, sometimes we do have certain weeks where we schedule overtime and we'll just dedicate like an extra hour.
A few things that I wanted to mention is that in my new role, I am in a hybrid kind of environment. So that's a factor in all of this as well. So 2 days in the office and the rest of the week at home. And of course, if you aren't feeling well, you're not like entitled to come in. Like there's some understanding there. So those are some more insights into my new position that I really enjoy.
Not bad at all. I mean, 45 hours is pretty much the range that we go for. And again, it's really just an extra hour, which I know can be a lot. You know, you're taking an hour out of your life. I definitely get that. But so far in public accounting, federal, it's not bad at all. It's not bad. So in state government, I did not have a busy season at all. We knew like around the 20th of the month, taxes became due like around the 20th or the 21st of the month. I don't really remember now, but that was it. And that's like a day. I wasn't staying late to assist taxpayers. We closed at 5 o'clock. Like, that's it. You're definitely not obligated to stay longer, and nor should you. Answering phones after 5 o'clock, that's kind of like a on you type of thing. Now, on the federal side, I have been working in my position for about a year and a half now, and I must say that there is a busy season even in federal public accounting, but we knew that. We definitely knew that. Our clients have, you know, like a fiscal year in, and it's generally not that bad at all. Busy season for me, it's only about 6 weeks, and it's generally like October through November, like most of October through like the first week of November. Busy season can be like 60 to 80 hours. I don't think I've ever worked more than 60-ish. Okay, like I was doing maybe 10-hour days, you know, adding an extra 2 hours to my 8 hours a day, but we did work weekends, which generally turned out to be Saturdays, and generally not Saturdays and Sundays. I think the most I've done on a Saturday was like 6 hours. And again, during this busy season time, you're able to like charge overtime meals and things like that. And yeah, it was a pretty decent experience. Like my team is really good. I have been on 2 teams, but only one team have I gone through the busy season process. So I must say that busy season wasn't bad. Again, I am an associate. I cannot speak for the senior associates. I do know that they tend to work more hours than, you know, us associates. So those are some things to consider. So yes, there is a busy season. It's about 6 weeks, which is just a little bit over a month. And for me, it hasn't been bad so far. So my next topic is, I guess, the position versus state government versus public accounting. Pretty similar in that, you know, you're in this department, you're in this particular department that you choose. You have a role. I mean, you're probably something like a examiner. You're probably a revenue auditor. They have something called like foreign auditors where they travel over the state and do audits and things like that at like convenience stores and businesses. So that's the type of work that you would do. Your job kind of focuses on one particular area. You're doing the same thing over and over. You have a special like assignment that you're assigned to, like that's it. Like you're doing that from my experience. Yes, you'll always take taxpayer calls, right? But on the other hand, You just have this one job that you're assigned to, and that's what you do day in, day out. That's what you're supposed to do. Sometimes little fun things come up, all hands on deck for whatever project they're working on. Those instances are kind of rare. Versus public accounting, similar but a little different. Like, yes, you're on an audit engagement and you can be on the same audit engagement year after year. Not that you have to. You can definitely go to different engagements and things like that. The same with regular government accounting. If you're not really fond of the department that you're in, you can get placed in a different department. There's so many departments to choose from, but generally you'll probably stay in your department if you really like it. Versus public accounting, where, you know, audit engagement, like, you know, maybe one year we won't win that audit for the next year. You know, there's some circumstances. The thing with the audit engagement is that there's all these different stages of the audit that you get to be involved in. So it's like your workload is constantly evolving throughout the audit, even though it repeats yearly, but you're not doing the same thing day after day, month after month. The tasks are always changing, and I kind of like that about it. You may start with planning and risk assessment, and then you may do like preliminary and interim and then final testing. On my current client, this is my second year on this engagement, and honestly, the first year that I was on the team, I did not touch every area of the audit. So last year through busy season, I was pretty much in the middle of the audit and I saw it to the end, versus this year I'm on an audit. I'm seeing it full circle. I'm seeing the planning. I'm seeing the risk assessment. I'm seeing setting up the file. I'm seeing those items. When I was first in the team, I didn't have that experience. Also, I did not get to do every substantive procedure last year as well. They touched a couple of them, but we have, you know, so many more. And this time I get to have a stab at more of the procedures that we perform. And even some of the seniors on the team were like, I've never done this before. I feel like there's just a lot more to explore about the audit to learn. Like, maybe you really won't even know your audit client. You're at least been on the team for like 2 or 3 years. Versus state government, I felt like it was pretty much doing the same task day in, day out. And at some points, I felt like it wasn't challenging enough. I had a lot of downtime where I could pretty much do other things. I remember when I did take over a new task and I was learning from another coworker in state government. They finished their task at like 8 and they spent the rest of the day doing whatever. And honestly, I do remember that person transferring to a different department because, I mean, it does get mundane and you want some excitement in your life. So I can understand that. They saw opening in another department and they chose to follow that. So it can get repetitive at some point. I mean, that's not a bad thing. If you're a person who likes that kind of structure, like you know what you're going to do day in and day out, it's not a bad thing at all. I do know that I kind of worked in a special projects type of environment. So when new projects came about, I was like first to raise my hand. My boss would assign me like little research assignments. Like if a taxpayer had contacted her, like she'd be like, hey, I have this assignment for you. Check this out in the code. That was kind of challenging and interesting. It gave me a little bit more fulfillment. I was one to volunteer for new assignments and things like that. And if someone was going out into the field, I would ask like, hey, can I job shadow this person out in the field? The experience is what you make it. Also, when I first started, like when I was an intern in state government, I used to run through my tasks so quickly. Like I'll ask my mentor, like, I'm out of task, like, is there anything else? And they're like, no, this was all that was assigned. For probably like the week, like, you know, you need to learn how to pace it. And I know it's just like, dang, I have to pace. Like it's not even that much to do, but you find ways to fill your time. It was a good deal for, you know, work-life balance. Like it was very chill. My coworkers were great, but sometimes you just want a little more in life. Like I definitely was like, I just wanted to really try public accounting. I'm really glad that I stumbled upon federal public accounting because it is a new light and I don't see all of public accounting in the same light anymore. I was saying there's still so much on the audit. It's my second year on the audit and there's still so much that I haven't seen. And I know as you move up, you gain more responsibility. I already started to experience a bit of that. Like your purpose in the audit changes as you move up that ladder. So last year, I was pretty new on the team. I had to get some background on the client and things like that. So I didn't go on any site visits or anything. This year I had the opportunity to go on these site visits and just to do more work, you know, really get out in the field and see what it's like. One of my accounting professors said that they worked on like a Tropicana audit engagement, and they had to go and count these big like vessels of orange juice, and they had to wear a hard hat and climb up these ladders and count these giant vessels of just orange juice and random stuff like that. So the stories that you hear are crazy, and I definitely am excited to be a part of that, even if it is an extreme heat in the middle of the desert or wherever. For the time being, I'm finding federal public accounting to be more fulfilling and a bit more challenging for me at this time. So I guess the next thing I want to talk about is a little bit of paid time off or leave or sick leave. I just wanted to briefly touch on this. In state government, I never really had to give like more than a day or a couple days notice if I wanted to take off. If I called my boss day of, like while I'm in my bed, like, hey, I'm not coming in today, it was no problem. As long as you have the leave to cover that day, then you're pretty good if you're salaried. There was no problem. Public accounting, you do kind of have to schedule your time, which I haven't been denied a request so far. I'm in the second year with my new company. I haven't had any PTO requests denied. I do know that we are discouraged from taking PTO in our busy season time, which I said was like October, November. So I'm respectful of that. I generally don't have any plans around that time. I know my bestie had like a birthday trip last year, and I wasn't able to go. But I mean, I understand the limitations of my job, and 6 weeks is not that bad. I mean, if you have to go to like the doctor or something, cool, but like taking off several days at a time. I haven't had any issues with PTO. We are encouraged to take our PTO, especially in the downtime of the audit where things aren't fast paced or where, you know, it's off season, but I don't have to submit my PTO for the year in like January. I think I submitted PTO just the other day. I've been sporadically sending my boss's PTO, putting on the calendar. Like, I have not been asked not to take PTO so far. I actually have way too much PTO right now, and I need to use it before we start to get busy. The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between in state government, like you had a manager who was kind of like over your tasks, who you kind of report to and things like that, versus public accounting. Like there is a hierarchy. Like you have associates, you have senior associates, you have managers, you have senior managers, and then you have like managing directors and partners. But the thing is, from my perspective as an associate and just in the trainings that I've gone to, it's really the senior associates who are leading the audits, the senior associates who are assigning you tasks as an associate. The senior associate assigns you work, you submit your work to the senior associate, they review it, and then the manager reviews it, and then the partner reviews it. And yeah, so the responsibility greatly increases. The person who has this position in state government, and then the manager is like over you, versus public accounting where it's like a hierarchy. Like the work that you do passes through so many hands before it gets like finally approved and reviewed. Like it has to go through so many things, which makes sense because in this audit, like we're submitting it to the SEC, like these government agencies, to say that our client is doing what they're supposed to do, right? It's just really interesting that like the senior associate is kind of the one doing most of the work. Like associates, we do like the grunt work, or we do the procedures, we'll do this, you know, we'll set up client stuff. But the seniors really putting in those extra hours. Like when we're just working our 40-hour weeks, it's the senior associates that are working 60 hours or even more. I don't know the type of senior associate I will be. I do know a good part of being a senior associate is delegating. So like you've done all this work before, so you could easily continue to do that work. Having associates on the team, you can assign them that easy type work, those procedures, and then you just get into the reviewer stage. And of course, the manager, they have to review the seniors' work. But I mean, by the time it gets to the manager, like it should be almost there. The manager reviews it and things like that. But the more I learn about the company, I have office hours with my manager on my team, and we just kind of talk about things. Like I talk about, you know, like leveling up and like how much time do you guys have on the audit? Because when you're associate, you're just like, you have your 40 hours and it's mostly assigned to the client, like except, you know, extracurriculars or whatever. As you move up the ladder, the less time is allocated to the audit. And I thought that was very interesting because I did not know that. Yeah. So like seniors have less time on the audit than associates do, and managers have less time on the audit than seniors do. But it's just all very interesting because you can do so much more, and it really is the culture of the firm that you work for. And I am really liking my firm right now. I can see myself here, excited to see what type of senior associate I can be. But again, I always kind of want to keep a government focus. For some reason, I feel like working in government accounting, I feel like I'm making a difference in the world around me. And I really enjoy my position so far. The only other thing I want to talk about is ability to move up and do more with your company. I do know that I can do rotations, maybe a international rotation. I can move to a different department. They want you to be happy within the firm, so they have made it kind of easy for you to transition into new areas. You just need to talk to your performance manager, express those things to your performance manager. Just like in state government, when I said that if you're not happy in a position, you definitely can move to a different position, move to a different department, try something else. Like, you'll still be with the state, you'll still be with government, but you'll just be in a different area. You get to try some things out. Both of these positions that I've had, I enjoyed both of them. I will say that sometimes I am a little sad because in state government, I had a community of women who I often lunched with, the department that I was in. It was just a very cool environment. Like, we did lunch a lot. Like, I saw them every day. Like, I could stand at their desk and talk to them all the time. When I could talk to them about like refinancing my car, or just anything, like this group of women who just had so much knowledge and so much everything. And like, we had Christmas events and went out to dinner and lunch, and it was just great. In my new role, my team is very diverse. I'm an introvert, and it's a little different, like connecting. Like, I'm also in another city, and it's just a little different. It's a little different. I don't have like that close-knit, like, coworker friend group that I had back home. And I do see the friend groups in my office when I'm in office and things like that. I do see like some of the people on my team really interacting with each other on like this deeper level. But for me, solely work related, it's not the camaraderie that I had at my last team back home. I'm learning to connect with others who are different from me. Like I said, my team this time is very, very diverse, and that's a good thing. I see so many different types of cultures around me. There's a lot of diversity, and just taking a little bit to get used to.
I must say, in the new public accounting role that I'm in, public accounting, everyone's journey is different. I'm experiencing so many different age groups within the role. Like, even starting out, everyone is not the same age as you. Even me, like, I'm 26 years old. I turned 26 this year. And some of the people who are like above me or who are giving me tasks, they are actually younger than me. And that's kind of interesting coming from a role in state government where me working there from when I was like 22, 24, something like that. I was like the baby of the office, in government accounting. I was the baby, and I had a lot of older women to look up to. Some of them were still in their late 20s and things like that. Some of them are 30s, 40s, 50s, but everyone just meshed so well. And here I was a baby, and they kind of just took me under their wing, versus here I am 26 in federal public accounting. Superiors may be younger than you, which is not a problem for me. I'm just riding it out. So when I say like it's kind of hard to connect, like some people have kids, and then some people like me, I'm childless. Some people have families and are married, and others aren't. So it's just a lot of different stages, and you can't really like gauge a certain look or anything. It's just so many factors. So trying to connect, in my opinion, has been a little difficult. That's what I was trying to convey, but I hope this helps you guys understand a little more.
Honestly, time back home in state government, we used to do like potlucks all the time. And I know y'all like potlucks, but no, like, we had good potlucks. Now, there were some people who would bring some questionable stuff, but you just don't eat it. Yeah, like, I know we had like a minute to win it competition in our office, which, it's just an office thing. But here on my new team, it's like the whole entire engagement team. And even though I'm on a team, like, the actual engagement can be huge, like 300 plus people. Not all audits are like that. Sometimes there are small engagements, but sometimes like one line on the financial statements is a team. And if there's like 20 lines on the financial statements, one of those lines is a team of the audit. And you know, teams vary for how many people. Like this team may have 4 people, this team may have 10 people. It honestly just depends. Like I think my team is pretty large. There's a lot of factors, and honestly I'm having a good time. It's a different time than I'm used to back home, but I'm growing, I'm learning more. It's a pretty interesting experience on both sides. So if you are interested in government accounting, definitely go for it. I will always encourage you all to try government accounting. And also if you want to kind of try public accounting, I can only speak for federal accounting. Now, I've heard some horror stories about commercial. Of course, my accounting firm does also have commercial engagements. Commercial audits can have multiple busy seasons because you're assigned to several clients at once. I can expound on that a little bit more if you guys would like, but that just has been my experience so far. State government versus federal public accounting. I hope this helped you guys in terms of think about new careers and just kind of sharing my experience so far. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below and I'll be sure to answer it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.